Just a little sneak peek. These are color samples of something that's coming from Missile Baits later this spring.
It was just a brutally tough week of fishing, but for me, ended up working out. But it was a tough week to get a bite.
Well, hey guys, we are back for, I guess you'd call it episode 2 of Bucks Island on tour. And DanO, you've been, I guess you're about halfway through your first long trek this season. Spent a little time out in Florida.
This will be the last week. We're 3/4 of the way through now.
3/4 of the way. Man, time is flying by. Hard to believe.
Yeah.
So let's start out. I understand you got to spend a couple of days at one of the MLF events down there. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we did. We did that first on tour. We were leaving the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. We were actually in Waco. We got 2 days. I took my wife to Magnolia down there, so that was kind of the one little thing that I got to do to appease the fact that she's being drugged along on all this mess.
Oh, anyway, she loves the fishing.
No, she loves the guys too. They're all good people. But we did. We got to go to Darbone Point Campground there in Farmerville, Louisiana, where a lot of the anglers were staying, and got to go to a couple of days of the event before we had to head towards Florida. Man, was that cold. I mean, stuff was frozen that I've not seen frozen before. In fact, real quick story, taking the camper down to leave, and we were trying to get an early start because we had 2, pretty long drive days to make sure we got to Florida. So we're planning on pulling out at 8. We didn't leave until 8:45 because the first thing I did was disconnect the water, and I froze my hands.
Oof.
And then trying to work on the metal and all the different components, it was a mess and 45-minute delay. But anyway, super cold in the mornings, especially. It got into the upper 40s in the afternoon, but super cold, super tough. Darbone was a lot of cypress trees, very shallow water, a lot of stumps, boat lanes, that kind of stuff. But the guys made the best of it. They did what they could. And then after the qualifying rounds, which they get Group A, Group B, and each of them get 2 days to fish, and they cut from the 40 to the 20 from Group A and Group B after each group fishes 2 days. Then they go to the knockout round, and that's the top 10 guys come out of the knockout round to go to the finals, and they fished each round on a different lake. So they went from Darbone to Caney Creek, and then to Bussy Break. And, Randy Howell from Gunnersville, we've known Randy for a long time. Bucks Island has, and myself and Christina. He broke his personal best twice that week.
Wow.
He caught a 10-4, which was the largest bass caught in MLF history. And then the following day, and that was on Caney Creek, and then the following day on Bussy Break, he caught a 12-14 the next day and broke it again and his personal best again. But Bradley Roy, who I've gotten the chance to watch his whole career, he's friends with Mark Menendez, who's a friend of Bucks Islands as well. They were roommates through most of his career. And he won that tournament coming through. And we got a chance to talk to him, so that was kind of cool.
All right. Well, why don't we roll that interview, and good perspective, kind of you good question in there on what's it like to fish 3 different bodies of water in the same tournament. So here's that interview.
Well, we're joined by Bradley Roy from Lancaster, Kentucky. Bradley is a longtime tournament professional. In fact, I got to cover Bradley's second or third professional tournament. He was 19 years old, fishing the Bassmaster Elite Series. He actually was the Bassmaster Rookie of the Year that year. And Bradley has just earned his first major tour win at the MLF BPT event at West Monroe, Louisiana, winning that event. Bradley, congratulations, first of all. That was not an easy event. We were there for the first couple of days. The weather changes, the temperatures, that was miserable cold. And you pulled it out. Let's kind of break down a little bit, if you will, the first couple of days, how you got through your qualifying rounds, and then the knockout round, and then let's go to the good stuff where you put that exclamation point on it.
Yeah, so it was definitely a unique week. When they start those tournament seasons out in the South, you always think, either like late pre-spawn, maybe spawn. But we definitely didn't get that. We actually, had a day of practice canceled because of icing, that was coming, and water temperatures in the upper 40s. It was just a brutally tough week of fishing. But for me, ended up working out. But it was a tough week to get a bite.
So Lake D'Arbonne, known as one of the better crappie lakes in the region, and the bite was tough. There was not an awful lot of things hitting score tracker. You didn't see an awful lot of ringing the bell there. You got through. What position did you get through out of your qualifying round?
I ended up second in my qualifying round at D'Arbonne. And really what got me through there, I found an area in the back of a creek where these fish, you could see the banks and everything where these fish probably would end up spawning. And there was some cypress trees out in the middle with like 2 or 3 ditches running through them that just poured out of the flat that was in the back of this creek. And those cypress trees had like 4 or 5 foot of water around them, 6 foot, which for D'Arbonne was pretty good depth. It was a pretty shallow place. And this just seemed like those fish, that's where they were staging. I'm sure they were ready to go spawn whenever the water temperature gets there, but those fish just were hanging out around there. And I pretty much camped out in there the whole time because I wanted to eliminate that variable of was I around a bass or not. And I knew once I got in there, I was getting enough bites to know that there was fish in there. It was just a matter of catching them.
What was your program there? What kind of baits did you use, and how did you go about that at D'Arbonne?
I threw everything at them, but basically I ended up catching the majority of my fish just pitching basically like a trick worm on an arc tungsten 3/16 ounce weight, real lightweight, and basically for me that pretty much was just it wasn't a real intrusive bait. I've done that in Florida before. It's kind of a Florida staple when you just go down there and pitch a straight tail worm around, kind of trick worm type thing. And
Yep.
It just was something I was consistently getting bit on and felt like for me, I knew if I got it around a bass, it would bite it. And with the water temperatures being 45, 46, 47, I did get some bites on a jig, but it just seemed like I was doubling my bites with something that was a little more finesse.
Gotcha. Okay, so then you go to Caney Creek, which kind of surprised everybody with the quality of fish that were there. What place did you get through the knockout round, and what was your program there?
I think I ended up third at Caney, and I didn't have a real good game plan going into Caney. We didn't get it. I'd never seen it before, and we got a short practice day over there. And I had planned on, kind of trying to active target, jerk bait some fish over there that I could look out and see. And I caught some fish doing that early, but they were just not scoreable. And there was a little bit of grass around the banks. It wasn't growing well. Obviously, water temperatures upper 40s, low 50s. The grass wasn't doing real well, but we did get a little wind that day, pretty strong southwest wind. It was kind of warming up. And there was some grass that was in like 3 to 5 foot of water kind of around the bank. And those are Florida strain bass, and just when that water temperature is in the low 50s, you can't hardly beat a lipless crankbait with a Florida strain bass. So I just started trying a little bit of that, and I got a 310 to bite. Yep. And soon after I got a 5-pounder to bite, and I just kind of ran with that on Caney Creek, knowing that it was a way I could kind of trigger one to bite.
And then you get the chance to go over where you ended up pulling out that trophy there on Bushy Break, and that turned out to be a slugfest. A lot of big fish that were caught. I know Randy Howell had broken his big fish personal best and was the biggest fish in Major League Fishing history, and then did it again the following day at Bushy Break. So how did that transpire? What was that day like? And then after that, tell us what it's like to fish 3 different bodies of water in the same event.
So we got a little ride around at Bussy. We never got to make a cast there in practice. So when I went over there doing my ride around, I saw that place. I had that feeling. I was like, man, you got to get back here because I'd heard that there was some really big bass in that place, and I kind of felt like it would be whether I won or not. I felt like it would be a fun place to fish a championship round, just because if it's got those big ones in it, like Randy's fish, for instance, it's a 12-14. There's plenty of people that catch a 12-14 across the country, but a lot of times we're seeing those 12-14s, 13-pounders get caught. They get caught with an Alabama rig. He caught that fish flipping. I mean, that's as good as it gets, to catch. I'll catch a 13-pounder any way I can catch it, but to catch it flipping, that's huge. So I was excited to get there. My game plan there, and my ride around, I found there was a little ridge that was a little shallower, kind of than a lot of that lake's like 8-10 foot deep. Kind of reminded me of Falcon a little bit. But there was a little ridge there. It was a little shallower, had a mix of different types of bushes and stumps and things. And then it also had some scattered grass. And I just kind of went with it. I was like, this looks like an area that has what they need, has everything that they could need. So I just kind of started in there and rolled with it. It was hard to get a bite. But when you got a bite, man, it was a big one. And I don't know if there's not a lot of fish in that lake or if there is and they just weren't biting. But it was definitely an interesting day whenever, guys aren't catching a lot, but when they catch one, it's huge.
Well, from all of us at Bucks Island, congratulations to you and your whole family. I know your dad stood behind you for a lot of years, and we have a lot of respect for what he does up there. But mostly from someone who's been around and watched your career the whole time you've been doing this. Congratulations. This is a great exclamation point. And I know actually it's a semicolon exclamation point for you because you're still going to be doing this. But that's a big deal to pull one of them BPT championships out and that trophy looked good on you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, huge shout out and thank you to Bradley for jumping on. I know you win one of these events and it's just nonstop interviews and calls and all that kind of stuff. So it means a lot that you took a few minutes and gave us some insight into that experience. So, and congratulations. So moving on from MLF, as you journeyed east, doesn't sound like you got out of the cold too much. Where'd you head to next?
Well, the first couple of days, it was a little chilly still. We did a 2-day trek, and got down to, St. John's River, Palatka. We stayed at Trails End Outdoors, which is only 18 campsites there in Interlaken, Florida, which is 10 miles, 15 miles from, Palatka. But big crowds were the trick the whole week. A lot of guys end up winning their first tournament. Have won their first tournament there, including Falcon Pro Brian New. He won his first Elite Series tournament ever fished down there last year, and he gave it a good run this year. Finished made the cut himself. But man, it started out cold in the mornings, especially during practice, and talking to our pro staffer, Matt Herron, when practice is cold for an event like that, especially here in Florida, they're Florida strain fish and they're finicky. So a lot of times practice is just a waste of time because if it's going to warm up at all, you've gotten into a groove of a certain way of doing things, then all of a sudden the weather changes and you're starting from scratch. It really benefits the guy that didn't have a good practice a lot of times. But so it was cold during practice, and then it was cold in the mornings, and it warmed up in the afternoons. But by day 3 and day 4, it was pretty warm. I mean, we got in the 70s there in Palatka, and by the time the tournament was over, we were hearing guys sight fishing. There were topwater bites going on. The Rapala, the spin wraps, those kinds of deals. The topwater prop baits were big. We heard frog bites. There was flipping bites, but
Dang,
our good friend and pro staffer John Cruz, Basscat Pro, he pulled that thing out. His second Elite Series win, and he used a couple different techniques to do it. We grabbed John there at the boat ramp when he was pulling his boat out of the water. His Basscat Puma STS, powered by Mercury. anyway, we grabbed John and I picked his brain a little bit. And, you know, you plan on doing an interview with John, and you filmed with him for me a little bit. You've done some stuff there at the shop for us, and he kind of just goes with it. So we let John talk, and he told us what he was doing.
All right. Well, let's check out. He gave us some pretty good little tackle insights and tips, and I think a little sneak peek at something coming out of Missile Baits.
Yeah, but I don't know anything else.
Let's see what John had to say.
John Cruz, two-time Bassmaster Elite Series champion, the first champion of 2022 for the Elite Series, and friend, family, pro staff for Bucks Island. Tell us how this week went. You won it wire to wire, had a giant day one, and then you held on.
Yes, I'm a big believer that when it's your time to win, everything just falls into place, and it absolutely did. When you come to a place that you fish so many times, like the St. Johns River, you get in a trap, especially when you've done well, you get in a trap of fishing the same places over and over again. So I purposely fished completely new water on day one. It was really cold, and I had terrible. I didn't find what I was looking for. I was looking for a lot of offshore grass in deeper places down south. Didn't find those. I was trying to find those staging fish. Didn't happen. Second day of practice, I went to Rodman, tried to do the same thing, and it worked. I caught a high teen bag, probably caught 15 plus keepers. I knew I was onto a little something, but I didn't know exactly how warm it was going to get later in the week. So that's really where I had to shift gears in the tournament. So the first day of the tournament, caught a huge bag on a drop shot, quarter ounce weight, 10-pound Sunline Sniper. Just a little sneak peek. These are color samples of something that's coming from Missile Baits later this spring. That's a color sample. If it looks familiar, it might be a collaboration effort. That's all I'm going to say. Might be a collaboration effort. You're going to have to stay tuned and find out here more in the next couple months. But we're going to have that out before summertime. Really, really excited about that project. That little setup right there caught me about 26 pounds on Rodman the first day. I locked back down in the afternoon, and old Mr. Chatterwagon, this is the white one. I was throwing the black one the first day because it was sunny, and caught a 4.5 pounder. The white one is what worked today, but on day two, I caught a decent limit on the chatterbait and a few other baits, mixing it up, and ended up, I think 3 of the 5 I weighed were on that chatterbait, the darker one, on day 2, so I had 17 pounds. Day 3 was the tricky day. That was the day where old Mr. Missile Baits Quiver 6.5 saved the day. I caught a couple keyfish, including a 6-pounder, which gave me 13 pounds on day 3, which kept me in the lead and kept me where I didn't have to catch a mega bag on the last day to win it. But then today we had different conditions. The final day we had different conditions. We had a lot overcast, mist and rain this morning. I knew those fish were going to be active on the river, and sure enough, I hit the right stretches. Ended up catching, I don't know, about 12 pounds in the first hour and a half. Then I made a move, had a few extra minutes, caught one almost 5. That jumped me up pretty good. And then I ran around Rodman, didn't catch squat up there. I caught one little tiny one. It just wasn't happening. I went to come back down. As I was getting ready to come back down through the lock, I saw another stretch of pads that I wanted to hit. And right when I got to it, it was sunny. So I tied on a different bait. I stood up and it was cloudy. And then like this weird squall rain line came through. So then I just picked up a spinnerbait. About the third cast, I catch a 2 3/4. Called out another 2-pounder. Gave me about 3/4 of a pound or so. And then I lost a big one. And it was done. And then it was done. I tried a bunch of different stuff in the afternoon. Nothing was working, but that bag today, 17 pounds, was enough to win by a little over a pound. I had to hold off Bob Downey. He made a good charge. He had a giant bag the first day and the last day, but luckily he didn't have enough in the middle to overtake me. So I don't know what the emotions of the whole tournament win are indescribable. When you've been doing it for as long as I have, and you try really, really hard, and then you finally get that second blue trophy. It means a ton. I can tell you it does.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Well, again, congratulations to John Cruz, man. It's I mean, it's just fun. I don't know how to describe it any other way, but it is just fun to watch these guys win these tournaments, and the emotion. They go through a lot, and then to see them hoist that trophy over their head. So, which for a guy like John's not all that hard to do. So he's
he's in incredibly good shape. He's very health conscious. Yep.
So
He's
again, congratulations, John. Also, we'll got some stuff going on in our kayak world as we expand our pro staff. Our friend Joe McElroy was fishing out of a Hobie over at the Hobie BOS on Toledo Bend, and again, I think the theme over there was cold and weather. But he finished pretty well. I can't remember if he was exactly what place he was out of the 200, but he did really well. We'll get that up on the screen. I get some details, but episodes to come, we'll try to get those guys in as well from the kayak world and get insights into what techniques they were having. So one question I want to kind of bring us together as we've talked through weather obviously being a factor with a couple of these tournaments this past week. What's the takeaway for guys fishing locally? Maybe not so much just the tournament guy, but the guy that's waiting for Saturday. And we're obviously going to have some weather swings. What's some stuff that you take away from watching these pros deal with it that might help a guy on a Saturday put a few more fish in the boat?
I guess what I come away with from having been around these guys is they're not afraid to make decisions, and they're not afraid to try something. There's a confidence level that they have when it comes to decision making, and to that they just can get on them. So they try things, and they never get themselves stuck in. And that's the biggest difference between a tour level pro like a Bradley Roy or a John Cruz or a Matt Herron, Mark Menendez, Wes Logan is, and all of them.
Right.
They think ahead, conditionally. Now, we might go touch the water and go, man, I caught him here last week. Dude, last week is gone. And these guys are thinking with the conditions, so they stay ahead of what's going on in their minds. And a lot of times, if they do have a bad tournament, it's because they were too ahead, not because they don't know what the fish are doing. And you rarely ever see a guy come into a body of water, even one he knows well, and go, I'm going to catch him there. Because they tune all of that stuff out, and they look at what is in front of them right now. I mean, if you don't do that, you don't see a 31-pound bag out of John Cox on day 3 because he was bed fishing. And he could have very well had a 40-pound bag because he was fishing a 10-pounder when he had to make the run to come back. That would have culled a 3-pounder. And that was at least a 10-pounder. It was at least a 10-pounder, he said. Anyway, but when that week starts, there's no way anybody's bed fishing. None. Doesn't happen. It was too cold. And the weather conditions come up, and those fish come up, and you got to stay with the conditions. In other words, it's great to have things that you want to try. But if you get stuck on those, you're likely going to be sitting in the back of the pack.
All right. Well, I guess the last thing to wrap up is that everybody's going to have an opportunity to get some good info from the horse's mouth with Mr. John Cruz headed our way shortly. What's the latest update on Fish Fest?
Okay, Fish Fest. We've got a pretty good lineup. The Elite Series is fishing that following week at Santee Cooper. Practice starts on Monday morning first thing. So We won't be able to have Matt Heron with us this year because he's camping, so he's got to get there and get set up on Saturday to be able to be ready to fish on Sunday. It's a week after the Bassmaster Classic too, so these guys are, they're boom, boom, gone and back. But Matt's going to come on the 11th and do our boat demos there at Rainbow Landing. So we're having boat demos March the 11th, Friday afternoon from noon to 6. And then we're going to have March the 12th, we're going to have Fish Fest with our typical raffles, vendor booths, discounts in the loft, all those things. Pretty good lineup. Of course, let's celebrate. John Cruz is going to be there. He's coming over Friday evening, and he's going to be there half the day, and then he's going to head off to Santee Cooper. Wes Logan, Scott Canterbury, they're both going to be there. We've actually got Cliff Pace, MLF Pro, former Bassmaster Classic champion, is going to come, and he's going to spend most of the day with us. And then we've got Greg Vinson, MLF Pro from Wetumpka, Alabama, American Bait Works, Net Bait, Snag Proof, Halo Rods. He's going to come spend the day with us as well. Because of their schedules, we're going to switch things up, and those guys are going to do an 11 o'clock seminar so that they can spend some time with the fans and be able to do a little bit of meet and greet and then get on the road so that they can go, because we care about their schedules and their time.
Yeah.
We'll have lunch after that seminar. And then our John Cox, NPFL John Cox, we're going to have, there's others. I'd have to look at the whole list, but I know that he'll be there. Gentry Gordy, our ABT pro staffer, is going to be there. Justin Elliott's going to be there, our Skeeter demo team driver. So we're going to have a good set of things going on. The stuff that makes Fish Fest, which has kind of become a pretty good deal. And we're looking forward to that. But we're grateful to have these guys want to come spend some time with us. And, yeah, John Cruz is going to be there.
Well, and just check out Facebook. We've got a Facebook event. We'll be dropping in more information and, of course, posting pretty much anywhere you find us on the internet. We'll be getting information out, the list of vendors that are coming, and I know it's kind of an ongoing, growing list. So it sounds like fun. One thing that really stuck out with me that I want to throw out some respect to these anglers. You talk about they're coming off of the Classic. The professionalism, everybody that's out there that dreams and thinks, it's going to be an easy life of being getting out and going fishing for a living. These guys work. I mean, they work hard, and it's impressive.
Yep.
They're able to come in. They get it. Being able to talk and to the fans and give back to the fishing community that supports them and allows them to go out there and do that, and then get on the road and get on down to another tournament. I hope everybody really hears that. And for those of you that are longing to be pro anglers, don't think it's the easy street. So, but we are looking forward to you March 11th for the demo rides. March 12th, is going to be the all day seminars, food, discounts, prizes. Well, so all the standard stuff on March the 12th, and look forward to hearing the rest of your trip. You've got another tournament, I guess the last tournament of this trip here on
Harris Chain here in Leesburg, Florida. Elite Series event here, and then we're home for about 5-6 days before we go to the Bassmaster Classic. So I'll be at Bucks Island. Anybody needs anything from me there, we'll be at the shop working and getting connected with everybody again, and then Bassmaster Classic, and then a good hard week getting ready for Fish Fest. But going back to your thing that you said about the professional anglers, I call them professional truck drivers. They get to fish about 6 days in between those.
Well, it definitely sounds like it. These guys are definitely tearing up the roads, and it's impressive to see. It's definitely worth giving them a lot of respect that they're able to get out there and do that. So, again, here's our episode 2 of Bucks Island on Tour. Appreciate you. Appreciate Christina letting you take a few moments from your busy life on the road and give us a little updates. It's fun. Hope you guys that are watching get a little something out of it. And we'll link up some tackle. I'm gonna try and get a lot of these tackle tips and stuff like that put together on shopbucksisland.com in a collection and make it easy to go find some of the stuff that's discussed. So go check that out. Links in description and all that kind of good stuff. And again, like, subscribe, and give us a share if you don't mind. But most importantly, it's just a huge thank you for paying attention and being a part of the Bucks Island family. And we look forward to seeing you in the shop or answering any questions online or on the phone. So I hope you guys have a great week. And Dan, we will catch you after the next one.
Yep. And you should thank Christina, because we're recording this on our 25th wedding anniversary here on Valentine's Day. And she's over there looking like, the antenna with the cell phone up in the air, trying to help make sure we got coverage.
Well, happy anniversary, guys. Give this guy a happy anniversary in the comments. And, yes, huge thank you to, everybody that gets the support to get out and do the stuff that we do. It's a lot of fun.
All right. Well, hi to everybody at the shop, and we'll be back soon.
All right.